time to review the story of a sleepy, sleepy princess. No, I mean the one where an evil woman curses her. No, the one where she only wakes up once a prince kisses her. The other one where that happens. Well, Sleeping Beauty's on here somewhere.
When it feels like true love is getting much too hard to find.
Man, dim princesses sure be sleepy. Sleeping Beauty is the OG snoozing princess, though, as her history goes all the way back to the 14th century to the book Persephorest, which was written by he who cannot be named. Because no one knows. The French author forgot to attach their name to it. One of the many stories in Persephorest was about Princess Zelendine, who gets cursed by an angry goddess, not because she wasn't invited to her birth, but because she thought the knife she was given to eat with at the baby bash was crap, so Zelendine is doomed to fall asleep when she gets pricked by a piece of flax. Once this happens, Prince Troilus, who has already met and fallen in love with Zelendine, gets brought to her by one of the supposedly good goddesses, and upon her insistence bangs the unconscious princess. Sometimes I wonder why I ever look into the original versions of these stories. And if that wasn't screwed up enough for you, well then 9 months later, the still sleeping Zelendine gives birth, and the baby sucks her finger trying to breastfeed and gets the piece of flax out of its mother, and she awakens. To say this story's a bit messed up is an understatement, but I'm sure that's all. Spoiler, it's not. So instead of suddenly having a child to take care of, a disgusting bird-human hybrid randomly flies in, grabs the baby, and says, "Don't worry about the child!" Then Zelendine and Troilus live happily ever after. Except for that whole being taken advantage of while sleeping thing, and their baby being for the birds. The next step on her journey to actually get to Sleeping Beauty is the 1634 story Sun, Moon, and Talia by Guillaume Battista Basile. The Sleeping Beauty in this version is called Talia, and her kids are the Sun and the Moon, I guess. In this version of the story, it's an already married king who screws her while she's sleeping, and then she gives birth to the twins. When the king's wife finds out, she tries to have the babies cooked and served to the king. Well, I'm glad she didn't overreact. The cook saves the babies though, and the queen tries to have Talia burned alive, but the king saves her and has the queen burned instead. Another truly happy ending with a wonderful person. Then we finally get to Charles Perrault's version of The Sleeping Beauty, which toned down some of the more disgusting elements and just had the prince kissing the unconscious woman, which is much better comparatively. But it was only part 1 of the book that originally ended with the Sleeping Beauty and her prince being wed, as in part 2, the prince's mother, who is part ogre, tried to have her grandchildren for dinner. Oh, good. I'm glad Children Happy Meals made it to another version of the story. Once again, the cook saves the kids and the ogre mother dies. When the brothers Grimm did their adaptation called Little Briar Rose, they ended the story after the prince wakes the princess up. Though they did do an unfinished adaptation of part 2 where they changed the mother to an in-law and called it The Evil Mother-in-Law. Though this was dropped after the first edition of their stories. But luckily, Goodtimes brought the ogre mother back. No, they didn't. I just wish they did. Goodtimes' Sleeping Beauty is another from the Jetlag Productions side of things, meaning we've got the cast full of people from Beast Wars and the early English DBZ dub.
Many pathways lead to love, some are very narrow.
Yeah, groping a girl while she's sleeping seems pretty narrow. We then learn that this version of Sleeping Beauty is taking place in the Clone Wars, as these two dancing couples have their exact copies entering the frame before the originals are even off the screen.
There lived a king and queen who wanted more than anything in the world to have a child.
They were amazed when they found out that was what their reproductive organs were for. Ugh, look at Smirky McGee here. They just needed a child to get their minds off their failed marriage.
They named the baby Felicity.
While Disney was the first version to name her Aurora, they could have gone with like Rose or even Briar Rose off the Grimm's version, but instead they called one of the fairies Primrose.
7 days after Felicity was born,
7 days.
the king and queen ordered that a huge celebration take place. Everyone in the kingdom was invited.
No, they weren't. You're gonna be proved a liar on that real quick there, narrator. Well, you see, I don't consider the evil fairy to really be anyone, so what I said was true, from a certain point of view. But look, Felicity has 7 fairies, way better than 3. Take that, Aurora!
And all the fairies of the land were made Felicity's godmothers. First, there was Aura.
Aura,
What do you think of her, Wisteria?
She is smarter far than any, bright and sparkling as a penny.
I rhyme, ain't that real cute, but you'd better beware when I toot. Ha ha! Rhyming! Amazing! We then run down all the fairies and what they're best known for, which is really important considering all but Primrose disappear from the story after the opening scene here.
But there's just so much of this. You bring the love into the room. No, you bring the love. No, I insist it is you.
Well, you didn't have to tell it like it is, Primrose. That Primrose, she's so sassy.
Primrose always spoke her mind and wore her heart on her sleeve, a combination that was both rare and
deadly.
I, Aura, grant her the gift of beauty.
'Cause we all know she ain't gonna get that from her genetics. Off with her head! I'm so glad I got wasted for this boring baby party.
She shall have music wherever she goes.
No, she won't, because the only musical numbers in this are during montages, so they don't really happen.
She will go through her life lighter than air.
This really isn't that great.
My gift is the gift of dance. I bring the gift of love. Felicity's heart shall be so full of this.
Ever stop to think that the fairies altering this baby so much means we never really got to know who Sleeping Beauty would have actually been as a person? Anyway, Maleficent finally shows up.
Odelia.
I mean, Odelia!
I thought she was dead.
I thought she was stung to death by bees, but it seems she became one with the bees.
Everyone in the kingdom is invited to the little princess's party except old Odelia.
Odelia, on my honor, we did not know you were still in the kingdom.
So, really, this whole situation could have been avoided if the king and queen had just checked to see if Odelia was really dead or not. Or they could just sent an invite her way, just in case. I mean, especially if you know that there's a magic being out there that's going to be offended if they don't get to come to your baby bashes. You might as well have them on your side. I can't imagine she's any worse at parties than that woman.
I have not yet given her my gift, the gift of death.
Death comes for us all, Odelia, but something much worse comes for you. For when you die, it will be without honor. Oops!
1 week after her 16th birthday, the Princess Felicity shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and fall to the ground, dead. Ow! Oh, oh.
It wasn't that funny.
So, like usual, the last fairy hasn't given her gift yet, so Primrose modifies the curse. Guess Odelia should have tried encrypting her curses.
Felicity won't
won't die. Instead, you will fall into a deep sleep. A sleep that will last 100 years and a day.
Wait, why are you making this last 100 years? That's pretty messed up. All you're doing is changing it so that she dies in her sleep. Nah, of course, we all know that people don't age or need sustenance when they're sleeping. Anyway, going with the fact that the magical sleep is like stasis, it's still weird that Primrose makes this last 100 years.
I did good?
It does last this long in the Perrault version, but that's just because that's how long it took for a lazy prince to get his butt over there and make out with a passed out chick.
And on that 101st day, you will be awakened by the son of the king.
So she can just make that happen after that amount of time? Did it have to be set that long?
And at the moment you awaken from your long slumber, it will not be you, but Odelia who shall die.
Okay then. It's apparently all cool when Primrose throws around the death curses. And if she could just add stuff like the Odelia dies clause, you'd think she could instead just say, you'll fall asleep for a couple of hours and then Loverboy will show up. It won't be much of a thing.
I did good?
You did very well.
I love the death part.
So, the little twerp has altered my curse. Well, no matter.
No matter? Shouldn't it matter to you that you just got death cursed? Since Odelia knows this too, you'd think maybe she should just drop the whole spinning wheel prick plan? Not getting invited to a baby party probably isn't worth dying over. Plus, she could always just kill Felicity another way if it's really that important to her. The king orders his kingdom to be a no-spin zone, but we don't get a big ol' wheel fire or anything, so it's quite a rip-off. We also don't get the fairies putting Sleeping Beauty into witness protection like they did in the Disney one.
Primrose remained her constant companion and never let her out of her sight. And because the king had banished all spinning wheels and spindles from the kingdom, no one had ever told Felicity about Odelia's horrible curse.
Yeah, I mean, that'd just be a sensible precaution, so why bother?
And so the brave young knight cast off his shackles and was free at last. Oh, how I wish I were free at last. I am with Primrose day and night.
Why does Felicity need constant guard anyway? There's really only one day she needs this, and it was told to them. 1 week after her 16th birthday. Just keep her safe that day. It's not that hard. So anyway, that of course is the day that Primrose decides to take it easy on the guarding so Felicity can enjoy the hallways by herself. Really thrilling.
I never realized how much fun being alone could be.
Has she never really experienced any alone time? Well, I hope at least Primrose gives good butt wiping tips.
I'll have an adventure.
Oh boy, an adventure! Like going up the stairs of the castle you live in. Though, to be fair, going up the stairs without a fairy around is a blast.
Oh, look how high I am.
She's so high.
I must be in the tallest tower of the palace. Oh, what a wonderful view.
This was slightly down the hall from your room. How have you not been here before?
There's Mother and Father. Oh, how tiny they look.
They are so small and insignificant. I no longer need them.
Like little ants.
I will crush them all.
I would like to stay here forever, looking down upon the rest of the world.
She's gone mad with power, and all she's done is go up a tower. The world had better hope that curse kicks in soon. So Delia cosplays as a random old woman just spinning it up in the tower of the castle, which Felicity finds perfectly normal. It's not quite the direct approach of just mind controlling her to prick herself. Though you'd think if Maleficent could do that, she'd just make Aurora jump out a window instead.
May I try that? It looks like fun.
Wow, you guys gotta try this.
Yeah, sure, there's nothing more fun than this. Take her for a spin.
Oh!
Blood. Hope this is not Felicity's blood. It's almost like she said exactly what day this would happen. So yeah, it is kinda obvious, isn't it? Oh yeah, I knew there was something we're supposed to remember today. Why are they always idiots when it comes to this? Even in the Disney one, the fairies are super careful until Aurora's 16th birthday, which is the curse day in that one, and then they magic it up. And then they take her out of their witness protection cottage that they've raised her in for 16 years. In either version, all they had to do was be careful for one more day. Or at least just be particularly careful on the curse day, but nah.
You know, at first I was angry with you for meddling with my curse, but actually things have worked out quite well.
You do realize, though, if the rest of it goes the way she said, you're dead. Well, I'm sure Odelia will be super careful about this for 100 years, until the day she's supposed to die.
When she awakens, everyone she knows and loves will be dead.
Yep, that's about the size of it. Good one, Primrose.
Curse you, Odelia.
Funny choice of words, King Dummy.
Then next time, perhaps you will remember to put me on your guest list. Not that there ever will be a next time.
She cursed him to be impotent or something?
She is not dead.
She may as well be dead.
Well, that's just prime.
Sleep! I command the entire palace to sleep! Sleep until the fair Felicity is awakened!
You know, I'm sure people in this kingdom had friends and family that lived outside the area or just were away that day. That's gonna be real messed up for a bunch of people to wake up 100 years later. But who cares what's going on in their lives? They're just the little people. This super spell makes Primrose tired as well, and then she turns into a rose for some reason. Geez, if only there were other fairies that could have helped with any of this situation. Odelia even covers the castle in thorns afterwards, and none of those other crappy godmother fairies ever notice, even after 100 years. And they were jerks to Odelia? I mean, at least she cared one way or another. I'll say that the thorns coming from the evil witch to try and block a prince makes a lot more sense, as in the Perrault version it was the good fairy who did this to supposedly protect the castle. Anyway, next we're treated to a montage of Prince Doofuses trying to get into the castle. Are there advertisements out there about the Sleeping Beauty situation or something? My favorite stupid prince is the guy who catapults himself, and really, getting repelled back is probably the best outcome that he could have gotten.
Each prince who tries to approach the palace comes that much closer.
Oh, is that what you call that? Getting closer?
Bottomless pit. That may be just the answer I seek.
Or you could just blow the castle up. Well, so long, Prince Sucker. That guy is super dead.
Exactly 100 years and 1 day after Felicity pricked her finger on Odelia's spindle, a handsome prince named Richard approached the legendary castle.
Well, this is the day to stop caring, then.
And of the invisible moat that surrounded the brambles.
Invisible moat? We didn't see that before. Ha!
Now we know where the invisible moat begins and ends. You honestly think you can jump it?
Buddy, your horse neighing does not mean it said that. What's that? You also think I'm the best at everything ever and have a giant dick?
If you say you can jump the invisible moat, Intrepid, I believe you. You did it!
Yeah, you just keep talking, you stupid idiot.
We shall succeed where others have failed, Intrepid.
Since little Richard's rescue is going nowhere, Primrose decides to psychic call him up on the magic hotline to give him some tips.
You must fight this magic with a magic of your own!
But I have no magic.
Well then, get some, silly boy!
I beg your forgiveness, O Spirit.
Apology accepted. I must know you are are indeed the king's son destined to rescue the Princess Felicity.
Her name is Felicity. It is perfect, for I know that when I finally find her, true happiness will find us both.
Oh yeah, her name being Felicity sure means she has to like you.
He sleeps at the bottom of the bottomless pit.
Bottom of the bottomless pit, huh?
You must help me!
Sorry, you're on your own, Prince Richard.
What's that sound? I'm far too young to even know what that is.
Ain't fooling anyone, Dick!
So, for some reason, Odelia has a giant with the anti-thorn potion living at the bottom of this pit that opens and closes on people. Must be a wonderful place he's got down there.
Boulder, that's it! Come on, Intrepid, help me, boy! Come on, boy! Push!
Forget weird baby-stealing harpy birds. The real animal star of Sleeping Beauty is the ultra-intelligent horse. So the giant is sort of angry at Richard for dropping a boulder on him. Can't imagine why.
I say you have the most foul breath I have ever smelled!
No need to get personal, little prince. Let's get a better look at the bug who dares to awaken the mighty Valdar.
Wait, what was Richard supposed to have stabbed there? It seems like it was his eye, but I guess that was too graphic, so they just painted over it and made it a bump. Also, dropping like 40 feet doesn't even slightly faze the Wonder Horse. Then the horse gets the flask and finishes off the giant. That'll show him for living.
Now, to rescue my princess.
Oops. Guess I'll see if I can get Princess Aurora's number. The Vine-Begone solution works perfectly, so Delia unleashes her ultimate attack, some bats. But the bats actually save Richard from his own stupidity as he is gonna stick his hand in the fire. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. To be fair, I don't know how magical frozen fire works. Maybe you can cut it into explosives. Richard makes his way to the woman who's gotta love him's room, and this is gonna be slightly awkward with her parents in there.
What if I find that it is I who slumbers and not her at all?
Then you should get some better dreams there, bud.
What wicked spell have you cast now?
I am turning you to stone.
Couldn't have done that sooner. Richard just stands there talking about his impending demise until a flower tells him what to do.
Throw me at the evil one! Kiss the princess!
So, that wakes Felicity up, but that of course has nothing to do with a stone spell, so he's a goner, but hey, at least Dick finally got hard.
You have triumphed! Love has won!
I only see lust in this room. There is no love.
Who are you?
It is the son of the king, come to wake us from our slumber.
What? But yeah, just look at that face. That is the face of a woman truly in love with the weird man leaning over her in bed, for sure. And then Primrose exploded! Yay! But really, they never show her reform normally, so maybe she's dead, I don't know. Then some kids popped out and everything was great, until Mommy Ogre came by with her child recipe book and made things awkward. Anyway, I didn't expect to say this, but I loved this movie. It's the best adaptation of Sleeping Beauty ever. Ah! Oh good. It was just a dream. Anyway, I didn't expect to say this, but I love this movie. It's the best adaptation of Sleeping Beauty ever. Ah! Oh, good. It's just a dream. Anyway, I didn't expect to say this, but I love this movie. It's the best adaptation of Sleeping Beauty ever.
I don't like this movie, doesn't look too friendly. This would like is so fake. That toy is gonna break. Phelous, don't let me down. You need to be around. Grab that chocolate pizza. I even like it cause I want. Phelous, oh Phelous, bring on more comedy. Phelous, oh Phelous, an animation movie. Phelous, oh Phelous, what really is so fun? Phelous, oh Phelous, what's your opinion about?
Oh, good. It was just a dream. Anyway, I didn't expect to say this, but I actually love this movie. It's the best adaptation of Sleeping Beauty ever. Oh, thanks, Primrose.